Hello, I hope everyone's having a great week. It's been eventful so far. I just wanted to hop on real quick, make a little video. I wanted to share something that was pretty profound for me. That Taita Hector had said, which is the shaman, right, from Colombia that is in charge of the ceremonies and so forth. And it's just to show, even when you think you're aware of something, you're really not until it's time, until you shed the beliefs or whatever, you learn your lesson, whatever you want to call it, whatever terminology you want to use. And he says, every single individual can tell their future. They're that powerful. I'm thinking, once you're spiritually developed, and blah, 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 you start analytically trying to answer the question in your mind. And what he said made so much sense, because he says, you can tell your future, just give us the hint, right? Like by following one law, knowing one law, one universal law. I'll give you like 5 seconds to think of it of your own, because I went blank when he'd asked. But then again, we were coming out of ceremony. But every individual can know what their future is going to be by one simple universal law. Cause and effect. Whether you believe it or not, if you're ready for it or whatever, right? Cause and effect, you'll know what your future is going to be like from every thought, every action. We think sometimes, you learn something and you want to share it with everyone. You want to help everyone, but you can't. The only one, you got to help yourself first before you can help anybody else. And at the end of the day, it's all an internal dialogue anyways, right? Like, it's just so many thoughts going to my mind, still integrating so many things. But at the end of the day, when you think of harmony and balance, you hear these words all the time, yin, yang. And I highly advise people to go look at Dr. Demartini. It took me years to really understand what he was saying, but he's able to talk about things in such a practical way using simple terminology. And that's what I'm in the process of learning myself, is trying to use words that doesn't disconnect people, even though, if it does, it does, right? It has its purpose no matter what, just like everything else in the world. But Dr. Demartini helps you understand it. At first it's going to go over your head, just like it's going to go over your head what I'm going to say right now. But to get that peace and harmony, if you can, it's a neuroplasticity, right? Regardless of age, gender, all that stuff, you can change your mind anytime you want with practice. The mind's not plastic. So when you have these undesirable situations, we obviously always focus on the negative, right? Like we're always we're stuck there. And this is why it's so hard to let go of those situations, whether it's a breakup, a divorce, or someone betrayed you, or whatever it may be. And I promise you, but you have to ask this question and you have to answer it. You have to have your synapse make the connection in order to have your own epiphany. This is why when you're talking to someone, you could talk to them till you're blue in the face, but you can't use classical terminology to explain an emotion, a quantum event that happens within you because of the experience. But when you learn how to ask the right questions, you could start seeing something of an undesirable situation, of the negative, to asking yourself, what are the positive things that are going to come out of this? What am I going to learn? What am I going to know that I don't want in a relationship? Or whatever it may be, whatever the situation is. And trust me, I've gone through every scenario, and I won't get too deep here, but, for people that were abused or whatever, went through hard scenarios. I don't even know if she mentioned this. I had a client who had an unfortunate event happen, and he lost his wife. And the kids were real young, and I knew I wasn't going to be able to do anything for this business, so to help them sell it. But I knew what I was there for, right? To be of service. So I just indirectly, without using any crazy words, just allowed him to relive his pain again. Because every time you think of that past, your brain is releasing the chemicals and your body's reliving that pain again, which usually people do every day. That's why they become, the personality traits and all that. If you listen to Dr. Joe Dispenza. Anyhow, long story short, let him finish his story. And when I asked him, he was shocked. I said, so what are the positive things that came out of that situation? I mean, you already saw the negative, and I already had prepped him. I didn't go cold turkey, like, and just dive in like that hardcore. I already prepped him indirectly throughout the conversation, and he sat there and he couldn't answer, you know. And like, I got a call probably an hour later, because again, people have to experience and have their own epiphanies. This is why Emmanuel talked in parables. Why people still, you can't talk like direct, right? Sometimes it just doesn't work because they hear it, and if they can't, the synapses don't hit, right? They don't remember, or they just don't have their own epiphany. So anyways, he calls me up. He goes, man, that was the craziest exercise I've ever done, and I get it. I said, what do you get? And even though he had lost his wife and had his kids and all that stuff, that they were young, he realized that he'd been focusing so much on the pain that he didn't realize what that situation did for him and his children. And what I mean by that is, it had inspired his children to be better, you know, human beings, and go to college, and you know, was inspired to do it in the memory of their mother. You know, and I know that's, some people are going to be questioning certain things. I'm just giving you an example of what, you know, how this thing can work. Point being is, when you do this, when you're seeing something negative or putting someone in the pits, you start asking the right questions, because we all have the same traits. We have all the same attributes. It's just, what are we choosing to express? You know, because of our experiences, assumptions, beliefs, you know. When you're putting someone in the pits, ask the right questions. What's the positive thing of this? You know, that way you can start balancing things out. And that is, it seems so simple, but yet we make it so hard. If you're putting someone on a pedestal, or you're putting someone, you know, up here, you're demeaning yourself. If you're looking at someone down here, you're puffing yourself up. You got too much pride, you know. But when you ask those questions, and little by little, you start to see the balance. And it becomes much easier to let go of negative situations that occurred, whether it be a breakup. And you know, for guys, like, you know, you break up, if a girlfriend breaks up with you or something, when we were a teenager, you know, you cruise around in a car listening to the same song for like 2 hours just to make you cry and feel the emotion, right? That's the way guys are, you know. Some of us, at least. So, because we don't want to let go of that pain. And if someone told me, hey, write it on a piece of paper and give it to me, and you'll never feel that pain again, I'm like, no, man, that's my pain. I experienced it. I felt I ain't doing it to nobody, right? It's crazy. So anyhow, I just wanted to hop on real quick. I just felt like someone needed to hear that. And I would highly recommend looking at Dr. DeMartini if you want it explained in a more sophisticated, practical, right, terminology, because I just say what comes, you know. I can only explain it the way I can interpret it and convey it. So I'm not trying to convince anybody, I'm simply conveying. And I know that it'll reach whoever it's supposed to reach. So I hope you guys had a fabulous week. Be kind to each other, man. You know, one thought at a time. Be aware of what you're thinking. Be metacognitive, because if you're seeing something and it's triggering you, that thought that you're thinking of whatever you're seeing is not going anywhere. The subconscious mind knows nothing outside of itself. Nothing. And that's a very hard thing to believe. And everything has its purpose, right? If your spirit hasn't learned what it came to learn yet, you know, it's not going to let you listen. It's not going to get past that reticular activating system, the group of fibers, you know, back here, that's your BS odometer. So anyhow, you know, I appreciate everyone's support on the page, the inbox messages. It's all good. Everything remains confidential. I know people are breaking out of their shells, and it's so beautiful to watch, to see it, including myself. Like, it's an unbelievable journey. You know, thank you all for your individualized, you know, path, because your healing in a sense is your pain in a sense is my healing, and vice versa. Everything's happening to you. Everything's happening for you and not to you. Realize that everything's on the way, not in the way. Everything that comes in front of you is what's meant for you. There's when you learn how to find the divine order within the chaos, the energy goes from entropy, where it's all crazy, to syntropy, right? It's science. It's all there. The roadmap's there. We just got to take the time and step back and, not try to force things on people. Give them the seeds and give them their divine birthright of being able to remember who and what they really are. Because whatever you think, whatever you do, however you act, you're feeding into the field, within, say, the unified field, the spirit world, whatever. And we're all connected. And as Dispenza would say, how you think and how you feel creates your personal reality, right? Because it's creating your personality. And your personality creates your personal reality. So anyhow, thanks again for the inbox messages. Love my spirit tribe. I'm still integrating a lot. And if you ever feel the calling, it's not for everybody. But if you feel lost, you feel stuck, it's a very safe place to be able to release a lot of baggage that you don't even know that you have. Still, it's so shocking. So anyways, love, light, and peace. Thank you. Glory be to the creation.